Sierra.
And I'm Kel.
And today, we will be your hosts. Welcome to the Backyard Mysteries, where history whispers its secrets.
As we dive into the Civil War history of River Bluff, we will unfold the past of Samuel Lorick and the plantation that holds secrets waiting to be uncovered. As we unravel the mysteries of the past and the stories of the site, many unknown secrets will be brought to the light. The Civil War left a lasting impression on the Lorick family and their historic house, as well as on the lives of the African Americans and all their experiences. Offers an emotional glimpse into the personal struggles and triumphs that shaped the lives of such a turbulent time in American history. Today we will be exploring the extent of these effects that the Civil War had on the Lorick family, their house, and the African American community on that plantation, shedding light on the lasting legacy left behind by this influential family.
From the time period 1850 to 1870, the nation was in turmoil. Conflict over the issue of slavery, tariffs, and more had escalated tensions between North and South into a civil war. However, during this escalation of conflict, the plantations of antebellum South Carolina were exploding with rich soil, larger plantations, and had a majority of African American slaves as their workforce.
The plantations created a clearer distinction between the social classes. It established that the white landowning men were primarily superior to African American slaves that worked for them. It created the preface that in order to be powerful, you needed slaves to do so, and as a result, that's what many white men strived to attain.
This led to the inevitable dependence on slaves in order to attain the ideal life. The majority of white Southerners were poor yeoman farmers, slaves, and indentured servants, but in a more broad perspective, the wealthier families reaped more benefits. For example, children from wealthier backgrounds were provided with more private tutors, resources, and more.
For the Lorick family, the broad strokes of life on the Lorick plantation from the 1850s to the 1870s included 132 slaves, 7,650 acres of land, and the primary crops of corn, sweet potatoes, and cotton. Information taken straight from the 1850 census. And as fitting the style of the time, a plantation house that had a similar build and features as many of the houses constructed in South Carolina's geographical region. The Loricks owned many mulatto and mixed slaves, all of them varied in ages and gender. The ages of these slaves ranged from the upper 40s and 50s to some in their late 30s and even one in their 20s. 11 of these slaves were younger children with ages 1 to 12.
We learned a lot about the Lorick family tree on the website findagrave.com. Residing at the Lorick plantation at the time, the patriarch Samuel Timothy Lorick, son of Elizabeth and George Lorick, who married Margaret Kegler and had 5 children. These children include Andrew Lorick, Samuel Lorick, Ellen Lorick, Sarah Lorick, and a baby girl who passed away early in life.
Samuel T. Lorick also had 5 siblings, and he ended up taking in his brother, Washington Lorick's sons, as members of the household after the death of his own infant baby girl. Lorick was considered to be one of the most influential figures in the area, with his wealth rising in accordance with the cotton boom of the 1800s and pre-Civil War. Acquiring more land and more slaves, the land he owned expanded to encompass most of modern-day Irmo, and, in addition, River Bluff's campus. His wealth and power would have continued to grow unbounded, except for one thing: the Civil War.
We learned that from the Civil War era and the history of the Lorick House website that as the first state to secede from the Union, South Carolina was a battleground between Union and Confederates. This conflict encompassed even Lexington, and the Lorick family was drawn into it without a choice. In 1864, General Sherman began his march to the sea, and Union soldiers razed the land where they went. While on this route, Sherman marched through River Bluff's very own campus, at that time the Lorick plantation, and when encountering the family's home, the soldiers attempted to burn it down.
They raided the house, the land, the crops, and the cattle. It was reported that they had dragged cattle's carcasses across the hardwood floors of the home as they tried to cook and eat them, and in an effort to burn the house down on the way out, soldiers hauled hot coals across the floor. Luckily for the Loricks, they returned home in time to extinguish the fire before it could create too much damage. And in the historic site, damage from the coals can still be seen today.
Unfortunately, many neighboring residents were not able to save their own homes, and Lexington in the South entered Reconstruction, with hardly any plantation maintaining its former glory.
The Lorix plantation was not spared this fate, and eventually passed through many different hands as economic struggles affecting them, at one point leaving the family's name in 1973 before returning in 1943. During this time, Harold P. Lorick, a descendant of George Lorick, made some great changes to the property, one of them being an addition of a racetrack. Today, the racetrack area is known as the Seven Oaks Shopping Center. In 1952, the Lorick left the family once again, having been sold to Frederick Benjamin Green, during which the name was changed to Green Acres, where it stayed in the Green and Love families until 1994. In July of 1995, the Lorick home was donated to the Lake Murray Tourism and Recreation Association, who moved it to its present location.
Slowly traveling down a 5-mile stretch of Old Bush River Road, the plantation in its entirety moved. The 35-foot by 34-foot structure lumbered along for 7 hours to its new and final location, the Lake Murray Country Visitors Center near the Lake Murray Dam on North Lake Drive. During this exploration into the Lorick family and its part of the Civil War, we've discovered the ups and downs of the plantation. Many secrets have been uncovered. From the 7,650-acre property and the 132 enslaved people to the impact of the Sherman March, their stories tell us about human nature and its impact on society today. The Lorick House stands as a symbol of perseverance because it is of the survival of the war and changing ownerships across generations, yet still preserving its historical significance.
As we reflect on the struggles and beautiful moments of those who walk this land, let's continue to keep our curiosity and preserve the historical site and its legacy. Thank you for walking this journey with us into the backyard mysteries of the Lorick family and their plantation. Until next time, keep exploring the mysteries of history, and thank you for listening to Backyard Mysteries.